you know.
I mean, I shake my head. I mean, you watch these folks. I mean, and the Confederacy analogy is a great one. So this is the search for the mythic black Confederate, because we can find one of them, and it means that the Confederacy wasn't racist. So Herman Cain, you know, and this is sort of provocative language. I'm going to own it. He's sort of like a fetish. He's the black garden gnome who can go and grant all their wishes. So you had this survey that came out. Actually, two things were really cool. About a month ago, Newsweek magazine, I'm sure you saw it, had a cover, and it was a business suit with a suitcase, and the cover was about how white men are suffering in the Great Recession. Not that all Americans are suffering, or not that the unemployment rate for blacks and Latinos is about 20%. No, the analogy they came up with was the beached white male. 2 weeks after that, the New York Times released some information. It was a research, I believe, by Tufts University, where they actually surveyed some white folks who actually said that in the age of Obama, it's white people who are suffering from reverse discrimination, and the racism that white folks are suffering in America is worse than anything suffered by any other folks historically.
Well, let me tell you something. The media has, as usual, has done such a poor job looking under the skirt of the white sheet of Herman Cain. And if they did, they're barely telling the story about how he just absolutely destroyed the rights of the employees at his. Do you know this story about the energy company that he was the board of directors? He goes in as board of directors, and he's the guy in charge of compensation. Okay, so what he does is he helps set up the same kind of scams that Enron set up, and where what he has his employees investing into the company that he knows is going down the tubes. He has employees investing into the company that he knows has completely cooked the books, just like Enron. Used the same formula for Enron. While he's telling mom and pop to invest their salary into the company, he knows the company is going under, and so mom and pop lose all their pensions. At the same time they lose their pensions, Herman Cain votes to give the CEO and management in excess of $30 to $40 million worth of bonuses. That's the Herman Cain that the media just, I don't know whether they just haven't read the story. It's easy to find. I mean, but he was the guy making all the pivotal decisions.
I mean, there's the other angle there. So they're talking about the Tea Party group as an AstroTurf group. So if Herman Cain is their spokesman, I mean, that fits perfectly, right? So they want more of the same, more trickle down, more redistribution of wealth upward, and they want gangster capitalism. This is really what's called the shock doctrine. They want to destroy this economy.
Well, that's what I just described, really, is gangster capitalism. It's what the Koch brothers. Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is Herman Cain is one of the Tea Party faithfuls, funded by the Koch brothers. These folks are working against their own self-interest. So again, you can put a black or brown face on these really ugly policies that hurt working class, that hurt the middle class, that hurt the poor, but somehow it's okay because Herman Cain is not going to be called on this stuff. As you said, you know, there's another parallel story, again, sort of thinking about black conservatives more generally. As we said before, if you want to understand the most nefarious policies of the new right in this country, look to black conservatives. The corruption with Clarence Thomas.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the story's just...
Another story that's not being covered.
Yeah, well, we know that... look, who have they chosen to be this character that they said, where they can say, my best friend is black? Okay, it's been Michael Steele. It's been Clarence Thomas. It's been Juan Williams. And, I kind of treat Juan Williams a little differently. Juan Williams at least sometimes struggles with the truth. But Clarence Thomas doesn't. I mean, he was completely, he was an entity where the Republicans said, this is our guy, he's my best friend, and he's black. Same way with Michael Steele. But, as this thing goes forward, do you really think it gets any legs beyond just other than just having Cain out there saying the ugly things and saying the ridiculous, crazy things that the teabaggers, they believe every day. They want to say every day, but now they have a black guy saying it. Does it really go beyond that? I mean, is this guy even a serious contender at all?
I don't think he is, but I mean, just, in being the best black friend, one thing inevitably happens to you, as you pointed out with Michael Steele, you're a friend of convenience. So when they're done with you, they're just going to throw you in the garbage pile, and you're going to be a black garbage pail kid. We saw that with Michael Steele. We'll see that with Herman Cain, but I mean, there's another story related to this, where I believe he's the chairman of one of the Republican Party, local Republican Party groups in California, actually wrote an open letter to the newspaper in San Jose, I believe, San Jose Bee, basically resigning publicly. And he said, I'm an African-American Republican. I've been in the party for 20 years. I've helped organize campaigns and membership drives. I believe in what the party should be. After watching all of this nonsense against Barack Obama, from the racist cartoons to the Tea Party bigotry, I can no longer in good conscience be a member of this party.
Doesn't Herman Cain also give these Tea Party bigots, this notion of nostalgia? The good old days. Well, that you understand. You and I have talked about this before. The conservative hates change. They're terrified to change, and we've talked about the studies that came out that showed, when Jack Block did these studies of conservatives when they were in kindergarten. Mm-hmm. They were the ones that were afraid of everything. They were the whiners. They hated change. They hated anything to be different. And when Jack Block followed them to the time that they were adults, nothing had changed except they had registered Republican. They are now the new teabaggers. And they thrive on nostalgia. They don't want anything that is different. And I think that's what Herman Cain is delivering too, as you really listen to what he's saying. He's giving them this nostalgia, isn't he?
Absolutely. Going back to being my best black friend, this is really a performance. As I said, months ago, my piece on CPAC, that Herman Cain fulfills the fantasies for white conservatives. So you think about his life story, and he's got the routine down. I mean, this guy should go on the circuit as a motivational speaker or a pitchman on late-night TV. His father was a janitor, a shoe shineman, I believe, and a chauffeur. Mm-hmm. And he worked hard. He didn't rock the boat. Mm-hmm. Herman Cain doesn't go and complain about Jim Crow or go march with the Little Rock Nine and integrate schools. He doesn't join the freedom rides with white and black folk who went to the South who fought for justice. Nope, he goes and he makes money. He doesn't rock the boat, and he doesn't complain. And as you said, in a time of American change, when our society is becoming more diverse racially, when American empire is in crisis, when we're struggling about our position in the world, which is where all that American exceptionalism stuff comes up. I mean, that's a whole separate conversation. Herman Cain, as you said, allows them to sort of channel that Leave It to Beaver nostalgia, but with a black face.
Yeah, where a black man was a black man and he knew his place, and right. We could, we'd talk to him, we'd occasionally, have dinner with him, but he was still the black man, and he was still answerable to us. That's that nostalgia, good old days, that still lives in the minds in the South and probably the rest of the country, but I see it day to day in the South. They're only a good friend at an arm's distance, and that arm's distance is only if he looks like the black man that existed in the 20s and the 30s, to where we could befriend him, but he's still answerable to us.
He's a caricature. They want somebody who's going to be a salve, who gives them a hug and calls them sir and ma'am and makes them feel good. But I mean, that's where that real America talk comes in. We can't forget that. All this real America talk is really about, what America do you want to take back? What year do you want to go back to? Because a lot of this insecurity is about having a black man as president. For a lot of folk, that's existential upset. Whatever we think about his policies, there's a certain cohort of the American public who cannot accept cognitively, that's all this birther mess that also Herman Cain still believes in. He actually hinted at that in an interview the other day where he's talking about Barack Obama is not a real American because he grew up in Kenya or Indonesia or somewhere like that. So he's still playing with that birther mess too. But I mean, a lot of this is anxiety about a changing world, and Barack Obama's a lightning rod for it, and Herman Cain is holding that lightning rod up to the sky.
Yeah, I think until you can really objectively look at that person that's at the water cooler. Okay, here's the way I look at it. That person at the water cooler is, when they buy into the Herman Cain message, to the teabagger message, to the new Republican message, it all comes down to fear. And every time I think of that scared little guy that he might be 6 foot tall and he's got the shaved head with the goatee like he's the tough guy, but at his heart the reason he's so conservative is because Jack Block had it right. That is what drives conservatism, is fear, and you could not have gotten a better person that gives the stamp of approval to all that than Herman Cain, because Herman Cain is out there saying, you know what, you should be afraid. You should be afraid. Chauncey, thanks for joining us. Okay, another great story. When you have another one, give us a call.
Absolutely.